Hi guys, this is one of my favourite aerials that I've taken recently. This was at a waste processing facility in Dardanup, which is just outside of Bunbury in Western Australia. And I flew over this sort of like tailings dam thing and realised once I got over top of how interesting it was. But looking at it right now, you can see it's pretty flat. It was an overcast day. There was a slight bit of sunlight. And if you zoom in on the birds, you'll see that. If I move there, oopsie, there we go. You can see there's actually some shadows there from the birds as they're flying over. So I think they're white cockies by the look of things, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, so I thought I'd show you how I edited this photo and made it look a bit interesting, a bit more ballsy. It's actually, as it is now, it's pretty flat. And if we look, I'm in Capture One. I do all my raw conversions in Capture One. So if you look at our histogram, we can definitely bring some blacks up there and some whites there. You can see if you go too far, you can see the white starting to go a bit nuts. Probably going to be a little bit careful with that. And there goes the phone. Should have put that on silent, shouldn't I? I'll send them a message. Okay, good one. But this is live recording, guys. This is what happens when you record live. So look, I'm a little bit concerned about those whites there, so I'm not going to actually put any of that white in there, because if I do, I'm just going to blow that out and I can do a better job in Photoshop later. The only other thing I will look at is going into our color editor, into the advanced tab, and selecting these colors like this blue here, adding a bit of saturation to that, maybe a bit of light, makes it look kind of nicer. And then I'm going to select one of these reddy brown colors here, and I'm going to add a bit of saturation to that, not too much, something like that. Let's see if a bit of light helps. Yeah, a bit of light in there, maybe a little bit more saturation. That's pretty good. Going to go to my recipes, and I'm going to export this as a 16-bit TIFF with a ICC profile of DCAM 3 Joseph Holmes and 240 pixels per inch. It's going to be opened up in Photoshop CC 2019. Okie dokie, so I'm just going to process that out. And Photoshop should open. There it goes. Sorry, my computer's 6 years old and very slow. Hey, there we have a very dodgy start. So, and looking at that, it's got all the nice sharpness. It's just a little bit flat, needs a little bit of a oomph, but I wanted to make it quite dark, so just so it looked a little bit more interesting, and had a bit more going in it. So what I did is I went to duplicate the background layer, so Command J, up to Image, Apply Image, and I'm going to select the red channel, and I'm going to select Mask, change the channel here to red, and click the invert button, and that's giving us a pretty ballsy point to work with. Click OK. Now you can see it's quite dark, quite ballsy. I don't know if I should use that word ballsy, but it is kind of ballsy. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through, I'm going to add a layer mask to that down here, and I'm going to paint with a black brush. I'm going to reduce the size of the brush, and I'm going to take the opacity back to 30%, which it is, so 3 on the keyboard, and I'm just going to add a little bit of light in some of these places in the image, just where it's a little bit dark, where I want to try to bring back some of that life, and keeping it sort of heavy and dark around the outside there. Adding a bit more light through there, and just avoiding, so, you don't want to go, I hate it when it does that, stupid trackpad. You can see now it's starting to look a little bit better, so let's turn that on and off. Before and after definitely helps. Okie dokie. So the next thing I want to do is I want to just add a little bit more light into certain areas, just to make to me it looks like it's an outer space scene. So some of these little areas down here look like clouds or sort of dust in space that and this is like the center of some exploding star. It's quite interesting. So I'm just going to do a curve adjustment layer and change the blend mode to screen. So you can see now that's lightened everything up quite a bit, but I'm going to invert that. So Command or Control I, and I'm going to paint with white this time. X on the keyboard will make my brush white, and I'm going to just pull this back a little bit and just lighten up some of these areas through here and just add a little bit more depth and dimension to that whole thing. Now this is all a little bit rough. I've actually created this image before. I've done it on my computer at work, and this is just on my laptop, but it's easier to do it on my computer at work because I've got the Cintiq 27 HD screen, so I can actually use the screen to do that. Here we go, just adding a bit more light through that blue there, a bit more there, staying away from those whites, and just adding a bit more light and life through there. I don't like that. I'll undo that. So now you can see it's starting to look much better. Adding a bit more light through there. Photoshop's doing silly buggers. See, this is the new version. It's got, see this weird sort of square stuff that's happening. It's like it's not rendering properly. Anyway, that's before and that's after. You can see how now it's got more light in the center, and that's exactly what I want to do. Okay, the next thing I might do is look at a bit more color. So I'll go to my hue saturation tab, click on the little hand, click on the reds, and just give the reds a little bit of a boost. I'm pretty happy with the blues the way they are. And then click over here, and this should be yellow. Just give the yellow a bit of a hit as well. So that kind of looks nice. Just giving us a little bit more color through there. At this point, I'll flatten it out. So Command Shift E or Control Shift E. And I'm going to duplicate that, Command J. And I'm going to go up to Filter, down to Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. And I'm going to add some mid-tone contrast through that image there. So I'm going to zoom in, Command Option 0, Control Alt 0. And I'm looking at the image, and if I tick the preview button, you can see with an amount of 12, radius 50 and threshold 0, it adds a little bit of extra oomph to the midtones, and you see it starts to come alive. You can see that right there, takes a bit of that grayness out, increases the contrast quite nicely. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Click OK, zoom out, add a little border, Command Option C around the outside, and hit F on the keyboard to get rid of all the clutter, and I'm very happy with the way that looks. So you can see it's a very simple process. It's taking your aerial image from something that's a little bit average to something that's a little bit nicer than average. So I'm going to go look at my history. I'm going to create a snapshot here, and then go up, back up to the top, and I'm going to, that's where I started, that's where I finished. You can see how that blue in the center really starts to pop, and all the light is now where I want it. So that's how we do that, guys. Hope you enjoyed that quick and easy tutorial on how to edit my aerial photos. Cheers, guys.